It all started on a cold night in Rexburg, Idaho in October of 1996. Freshman Sarah Kern and a friend were walking to the Ricks College basketball game.
We forgot our basketball tickets, and so we stuck our thumbs out.
Well, it was crazy. I was driving down the streets of Rexburg, Idaho.
Jay Hill was a sophomore on the football team. He was with his friend when they saw the two hitchhikers on the side of the road.
And they stuck out their thumb, and I yelled at my friend, "Hey, pull over real quick." And they jumped in the back seat.
We just kind of jumped in because it was so cold and said, "Hey, can you take us to our apartment?"
And we said, "Hey, we'll just wait for you if you're going back to the game, because that's where we're going."
He had a fun personality. He was outgoing and wanted to do fun things.
Then it just kept building, and then it became very obvious that she was the one.
And Sarah knew Jay was the one for her.
If I don't marry him, I'll regret it for the rest of my life.
In December of 1997, Jay and Sarah were married in the Boise Latter-day Saint Temple. How has faith played a role in where you two are today?
It's been woven in the fabric of our marriage from day one. And I knew that I would regret not marrying him because of my faith. I think that relationship that I had, it was just something that I knew from within that I only identify as faith-based.
That faith would be put to the test. After 2 seasons as a player and 13 as a position coach and special teams coordinator at Utah, Jay moved his family to Ogden in 2014. He became the head football coach at Weber State. 2 years later, Sarah was having chest pain, and an MRI showed a torn pectoral muscle. When the pain didn't go away, she received a new diagnosis, Hodgkin's lymphoma.
That was such a pivotal moment to me, that in faith, that just giving it all to God and trusting Him and His plan and process and how that was going to go. And that's really what I did for the next 4 or 5 months. Is I would get in my office early and I would do things to try to help build my own faith in that process, because I knew I couldn't cure her.
Jay's 3rd season was just beginning. So was Sarah's battle with stage 4 cancer, with 4 young children at home.
I hadn't done the scrapbooks. I hadn't told him all the stories. I hadn't told, I felt like I had done my final, I wasn't ready to go. But I started praying and I said, but if it is my time to go, if this is your plan, please tell me that my kids will be okay. I just need to know that Jay and the kids will be okay. And I got the most calming feeling, and the sweetest words came to my mind, that whether it's 6 days or 60 years, they will be just fine. And there was so much peace in that I was like, okay, the scrapbooks don't matter. The stories don't matter. It's just loving them.
What did your support for her look like?
You know what? Looking back, that's probably one of my biggest regrets, that I didn't do more for her in those times. She was so tough and so resilient and never really showed what she was really going through. And as a result, I kind of went on with the things I had to do.
Treatment would take sometimes 8 hours for those infusions, and he would be there the whole day, missing a full day of the week in preparation. And he just supported me as best as he could. He wanted me to come be with him in the office if I could, and sometimes I would sleep on his couch.
For 15 months, Sarah endured chemotherapy, a bone marrow transplant, and radiation. Through it all, she was Jay's biggest fan during his time at Weber State.
Let's go, baby.
In December of 2022, Jay joined BYU as its defensive coordinator. Then on August 29th of this year, the caretaking tables were turned. Jay began having chest pain after a workout in Provo.
When I was having those symptoms that day, I called her on my way home, and I said,
I'll be there shortly. I'm just going to stop and get a haircut.
She knew right away, like, this is bad.
The pressure was so hard on his chest. I said, well, just stay there. I'm going to come get you.
She asked me, like, do I need to come get you? I said, no, I think I can drive home. And so she said,
"If you don't talk to me, then I'm coming to get you." And he was almost home at this point.
It was at that moment that everything got so tight that I was like, it was a couple minutes before I could get anything out. I just couldn't get the breath to do it.
He's able to barely get out that he's pulling in. And he gets out of the truck and he lays on the back porch. And I said, "If you don't get up and get in this truck right now, I'm calling 911. And I walked back to get the phone.
And immediately she just said, "Come on, we're going to the emergency room." And I said, "No, just give me a second to catch my breath."
The whole time, though, I knew this wasn't going to take him. And I don't know how I knew that, but I just knew that I had to get him there quickly, but this wasn't the end.
After 2 days in the hospital and 2 stents in his heart, it was game day in Provo. Jay wasn't about to miss it.
I talked to the doctor and I said, "He's going to watch the game either way."
The reality is I'm going to watch it on TV or I'm going to go to the game. Either way, I'm going to watch it. And so at least at the stadium, I'm going to feel like I have some say in what's going on. And he understood.
Maybe best of all that night, aside from the win against Southern Illinois in the season opener, was the reaction of his players.
We got to the stadium, I walked down on the field, and they knew I'd had the heart attack just a couple days earlier. And I don't know why, but as soon as I stepped foot on the grass, it's like I got so emotional. Like, this is where I want to be.
If it's where Jay wants to be, Sara wants to be there too. And she was, sitting next to him in the coach's box.
She really is just that calming presence to me that when I want to be negative, she's always positive. You know, when she's sitting there next to you, you can't get too crazy. You can't go into like coach talk or anything. So she really did keep me mellow and focused on what I needed to do.
It's really boring. They all have headsets and they're all talking to each other, but I'm just sitting there like...
And you can't hear any of it.
I can't hear any of it, and just trying to stay calm so that my energy connection can keep him calm. And so it's quite boring.
So far, nothing has been boring on the field. The Cougars are off to a 7-0 start.
Yeah, they're getting better.
No matter how the season ends, they're both healthy and in it together, just like they were on that first cold night in Rexburg.
Knowing that your partner's there through thick and thin, even when it got hard, is such a critical part of a good marriage. We've been through some hard times. Just let God lead your path. Whoever would have thought that he was going to lead you to your wife hitchhiking, right? But it really does go back to that scripture, trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not to thine own understanding. That made no sense, right? But I believe that there was a reason why I picked her up that day, and it was the best day ever.
I always say I'd love to get stuck in a rut and be in that road that's just a rut, just the same, but really I wouldn't. It's been a wonderful road, and so glad I stuck my thumb out.
For Beyond the Game, I'm Kathy Aiken for KSL.com.